Holy crapoly, Nathan! What the hell? Why are you setting off fireworks in our backyard?
Hey.
What are you doing, Nathan? What are you doing? I'm getting severe third-degree burns on my forearms. Nathan, stop it! Stop it!
No, Brenton,
Nathan,
I have to.
Get some sense, man.
I have to, Brenton.
Why do you have to?
I've strapped DVD copies of the film Cats to these rockets so we can fire them into the sky for New Year's.
Nathan, rocket away.
Oh, Brenton, it's
here we are.
New year, new us, isn't it?
Woohoo!
Woo, it's an exciting time.
Yes,
Since we've been spending the new year, with our loved ones, we're a weekend, so it's a little bit late to have this kind of conversation. But I want to focus on a member of our family that you and I both happen to share, which is sisters, Brenton. We have sisters. I have one. You have three. And I just wanted to ask you, buddy, what are some stupid fights you've gotten into recently with your sisters? Maybe even not recently, just like of all time.
This isn't going to be recent.
2019.
Recent, yeah. Okay, so there was this one time that this wasn't even an argument. This is an interaction with my sister, Georgia, one of my younger sisters. We were on a holiday to the Sunshine Coast, and we were at this resort known as Twin Waters. And so, during the day, we'd swim in this lake, we'd, ride bikes, we'd do all that fun stuff. And at this point in time, some context as well, we're all quite young at this point, and so maybe you'll excuse me for my behaviour. So, Georgia at this point in time has a tooth dangling from the front of her face. It's like one of hers two front teeth, and it's like on its last little strand of
it's like Brenton at the end of the day's work. He's just like dangling by a thread.
Yeah, that's me. And it's there, and Georgia refuses to like rip it out, twist it, do anything, and it's to the point where it's been at that stage for a long while.
Oh, okay.
Long story short, it's finally just fallen out on its own accord, seeing as Georgia doesn't want to like rip a tooth out of her face. Hey, fair enough. And it's all very exciting because this tooth has been hanging out of Georgia's head for the past I think it was like a month. Like it was a long time of this tooth just refusing to fall out. Furthermore, I had not lost a tooth in quite a while. And I was extremely jealous of my sister. So that night, when Georgia put that tooth under her pillow for the tooth fairy, I went into her room out of spite and took the tooth from under her pillow.
Oh no, you didn't.
This is all true. I then did not want to be selfish because I knew that that wasn't the right thing to do, and it'd be very easy to find the tooth under my pillow. Not that I think I believed in the tooth fairy at this point. Spoilers, nothing but spoilers, that tooth fairy ain't real, kids.
Wow. That just ruined it for all the child listeners of the podcast who ignore the explicit label.
So instead I put it in the tracks of the sliding doors of this apartment. I put it like in the crack of the kind of tracks that these sliding doors were on, and went to bed. So that next day, that evening, Georgia has woken up in the middle of the night and started screaming and crying that her tooth was missing. And mother and father don't know what to do. No one knows what to do because Georgia's so distraught with sadness.
So did you dress up as a tooth?
No.
Oh, no.
Unfortunately not.
I thought it was going in like a Dwayne Johnson direction, like with the tooth fairy.
They decided, they made the whole family pull this apartment apart looking for this tooth, and eventually they found the tooth by some miracle in the tracking of the fly screen door. To which Mum then responded, this didn't occur on its own.
Oh,
the tooth could not have moved from under the pillow to this tracking. What's happened?
She whips out a shotgun.
And after some questioning, which may or may not have involved a shotgun, I came forward and revealed my plan and that I was in the wrong.
Oh wow!
And it was one of the strangest interactions with my family because I was in so much trouble. Yet Georgia was so happy to get her tooth back. Yet she was also so angry at me, and I was just between this all. And I was just like, sisters, am I right?
But hold up. So but she would have had the tooth vanish the next night when she got the gold coin under the pillow, right?
Right.
So why did she want it back if
But
she's
there
only
was
to
no-
lose it the next day?
There was no because there was no gold coin. She'd gone to bed, put her tooth under the pillowcase, and has woken up in the middle of the night. The tooth is gone, and there's no coin.
Oh. But the
upsetting
illusion
scenario.
but did she still think the tooth fairy was a thing after that?
Well, yes, because she then put that tooth under a pillow and she got $1 or whatever.
This isn't I feel like she's not the guilty one here. I mean, I feel
No,
like,
I fully take the blame for this situation. I'm not having a bitch fest about my sisters by any means. I just thought it was a funny sister story of how
on how you're trying to
how
undermine
much of
her.
a
All because she was getting all this attention.
exactly of and what a stupid plan for some young person to do to their sister. Don't do it, kids.
I actually have
moral of the story: don't do it.
I actually have a similar story. I have a story about my sister and a tooth, which I feel like
Right.
definitely should be the title of this prologue. But when I was around about you were 8 years old or something like that, I have a younger sister who is 3 years younger, Jessica. We were both just running around the house one night, and I was the one with the wobbly tooth, and so we were running about.
Right.
And we were playing Tiggy, that kind of stuff. And it was only recently wobbly. It wasn't that loose, but it was still loose enough for us to go, oi, this is going to be great. I'm going to get some money and then we can spend it on lolly snakes and rot more teeth. And so we were running around the house and my sister said, it'd be even funner if we put a blanket over me and I'll see if I can try and tag you. And we're like, oh, but won't you be blind, Jess? And she's like, yeah, that's the idea. And so I'm like, oh, okay, I guess this could be kind of fun. And so we get this random blanket from the couch and throw it on top of her. And she starts running about the house and she starts whacking into walls. It's the funniest shit you've ever seen in your life. This 5-year-old girl just sprint around, just knocking a wall, then falling down, trying to get back up and then still spreading out her hands trying to find you. I'm standing there laughing. And so she's running around more and then she eventually finds me. But because she's running so fast towards me, she ends up just taking a huge swing at me and then punches out my tooth.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so the tooth falls out and I haven't realized what's happened just yet. And so I knocked to the floor and then, and it was kind of funny because I was just oh, she finally found me. And so I get back up and I'm laughing and then Jessica looks at me and she's like, wait a minute. And then she says, and she starts putting her hand to her mouth, like touching her lips, and she's like, Nathan, do this. And I start doing it, and then suddenly there's blood all over my hand. And I'm like, oh no. I went to try and find the tooth, and I go and mum and dad come downstairs from their bedroom, and they're like, children, what's going on here? And I'm like, Jessica punched my tooth out, and I wasn't angry about it, but the way I said it, they got so triggered. Both mum and dad are like, what have you done?
Wow.
You keep punching our child, and it just is I'm your child, and not anymore, and they backhand her, and oh, it was the funniest thing.
Oof.
And so. I mean, they didn't actually backhand it, but I remember they felt guilty about how I lost the tooth, and also because it was quite well wedged and it still wasn't that loose, so it was a powerful punch. So that's the only time when I've had money from the tooth fairy. It ended up being a $5 note and not a coin, because mum and dad thought it was really shitty circumstances for me to lose it, because it was viscerally knocked out. I didn't get the weeks of will they, won't they, of is it going to come out now? Is it going to come out later? But
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I remember at school when it comes to the tooth fairy, all these other kids, you just got dollar coins, right, when you lost teeth.
That is correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
I do kids who got fucking $10 notes and stuff when they lost teeth. Did you ever know?
Oh, I know, right? What the hell, parents?
Yeah.
A kid getting their $50 note from a fucking tooth fairy because their tooth fell out. Well done. Here's $50. No, thank you.
Yeah, I know. It's
raise me right.
what's a kid gonna spend $10 on? Nothing. Maybe kids of tomorrow $10 will buy you an apple or something. But oh, what a bloody waste.
Hey Nathan.
Hey Brenton.
Welcome to Classic Movie Banter.
Woo! It's a new year. New us. New podcast.
2018. Bring it on. Yeah.
Brenton, 2018's already happened.
Oh, it's gone.
Did you have too much to drink?
It's gone, along with... No, I didn't actually.
Oh, okay.
I paced myself pretty well that night.
Oh,
And
you're
it was,
just
it
pacing
was
around a
wonderful
room?
night. Yeah, dude. No, I was pacing around Cockatoo Island where I was for New Year's on the harbour.
Oh, you guys spent
And,
really? Dude,
It
that's
was
amazing.
pretty awesome.
Dude, that's amazing.
What a good time. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude.
New
that's-
Year's. It's the
Oh, mate, you're living the
it's
dream.
a great time. Yeah.
Living the dream. I remember, like,
Oh, thanks, dude.
like, what's the best? Is that the best New Year's you've had?
It's up there for sure.
It's up
Yeah.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you. I think I thought the best New Year's experience for me was going to be when I was in New York. This is going from 2014 to 15, and I was there at New York to watch the ball drop and that kind of stuff. Brenton, it's shitty. Never do it.
Why not?
But why, sir? Why? Because it's so cold. And, like, you know, like, people are standing in Times Square and they're all watching the ball and everyone's going, woo! In order to, like, get there, you have to, like, rock up at, like, 4 p.m. for the midnight drop. And, like, because they gate it off. And that's just to get a good spot. So you're standing in, like, New York winter degree temperatures. It's, like, day after tomorrow. And you're standing there, like, with no booze, no nothing. You just got to stand there for, like, 7 fucking hours until it finally happens. The reason people cheer when the ball drops is not because it's New Year's. It's just because they get to go home, Brenton.
Wow. That is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But given that this is the first episode of a new year,
I know Bond just snuck in for New Year's Eve.
I have some ideas.
Oh, Brenton, you got ideas? What a first.
We are not reviewing a film this episode.
Wait, what? Are you kidding? I watched Ghostbusters for this week. Are you kidding?
We will not exclusively talk about movies on this show.
Brenton, what are you doing? You're breaking all the rules.
As most content creators we know do top 10 lists, whether it be in their chosen mediums such as games, films, books, food groups. You know, it's...
Top 10 food groups. What are your
It's-
top 10 food groups, Brenton?
Everyone has their top 10 lists of the year. So we thought, why the hell don't we incorporate all of our favourite moments from 2018 into one juicy list made up of not only top 10, but of 2018 items?
Because there's nothing better than, like, derivatively just, like, making another list like every other bloody content creator at the end of the year.
This is the top 2018 of 2018, brought to you by Classic Movie Banter. Let's go!
Okay. So wait, are we going to list, like, 2018 things? It's going to be like a 40-hour podcast. Like,
You know, in hindsight, it doesn't sound like such a great idea. Do you have any amendments you'd like to make to this rule?
I like that. Okay, I like that we should name literally 2018 things that we enjoyed in 2018, and I think this can go in good directions. Why don't? Because just to save our listeners, like, that's such a long list. I think we could do it. I reckon if you and I just like if we really put our heads down, we could do it. But why don't we just like how about we group together something we've done 2,000 times that we've loved, and then you and I can like divvy up the rest of the 18.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Let's do that. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Good compromise, Nathan.
I like that you want to do this because you said to me we should do this, and I like it. But like Brenton, like frankly, during the week I couldn't come up with 2018 things. Like I tried.
What? My notebook is full.
I wanted.
What are you talking about?
Can we? Okay, we'll do an audio commentary one time where we literally read off like all those things on that list because I'm sure you wrote a novel. Like,
right? Yeah, right.
can we do an audio commentary for a film?
so-
and then just like, but instead of like talking about the film, we just list everything that you loved.
Sure thing. Let's make that happen.
People like watching.
Hey,
like,
so tell me, what are these 2,000 items that we have performed during this year?
what have you and I done 2,000 times? I think the thing I've liked, because that's something we've liked as well. It's our top 2018 things. I think for numbers 1 through to 2000 at the bottom of the list, or should I say 2018 up to number 19, if whatever way you're looking at this list. I think this sounds very corny. It's like, but I think our messages, Brenton. I think our conversations we've had this year. I think
yeah, there's been some rippers.
I think not like dialogue. I don't think not like actual spoken words. We know this podcast isn't good. It's not that. It's the actual like Facebook and text messages you and I have sent to each other. I think every single one of those. I think must be at least 2,000 in there after this year.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, your
I'd agree with
GIF
that
game
statement.
is quite good. I think at least
Yes.
number 1,623 for me is easily the GIF of Norman Osborn that you sent me recently.
Yes, that's a good
It's
one.
a great one.
I'm something of a scientist myself, everyone.
I want every time I was in like science back in year 9, I'd be walking to I'd light the Bunsen burner and be like, I'm something of a scientist myself. Yeah.
There's nothing like lighting a Bunsen burner that makes you feel like such a badass scientist.
It's true. I like your messages, Brendan. You're a man who gets around emoji. You really like your emojis in your messages. I respect that.
Dude, thank you. Dude, I think like your messages are also very impressive and also quite awesome. So
thank you.
Yeah, man, kudos to you, buddy.
Let's just post some screenshots of our messages on the Twitter page. Just
sure thing, man.
Moments.
Let's get it up there. Get it out there to the world.
They'll see you just
probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
They're just like, why are you guys sending all these nudes? And we're like, oh, wait, what? We probably shouldn't have done this.
So, Nathan.
Yeah?
I do want to rip some Band-Aids off.
Oh, damn it, Brenton. You got to stop you and your bloody kitchen knife. You try and think you can cut some garlic, but you still don't know how to crush it, and you're just cutting yourself far too much, buddy. I'm getting concerned.
I want to begin. I want to begin this list.
Let us begin.
I want us to start. Mm-hmm. I want us to enjoy ourselves, and I want us to reminisce over the year that was, even though we're not there anymore.
No.
and in some aspects, we don't want to be back there. You know what I mean?
Could this be like an old the 90s had those TV shows where suddenly the camera would zoom into a crystal ball and be like do 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 and mist would swirl around the camera?
Yeah, sure.
It's we're suddenly in
all right.
2018.
Good suggestion. So for our listeners, just imagine that that we are about to enter an alternate universe as we are sucked into the magic of this sphere.
Clarence from A Wonderful Life rocks up.
So just go along with the episode, guys. It's going to be a good time. Let's go.
Let's do
this
it.
This is Classic Movie Banters 2018 of 2018.
Well, we've already listed... Well, we've already listed the bottom 2000. So number... Do you want to just do do you just want to go back and forth, buddy?
Let's rip that Band-Aid off.
All right.
Let's just do it.
And
let's go back and forth.
So we did... How are we going to do this? So we did number 1 all the way up to 2000. So what's your 2001 favourite thing, Brenton?
Here we go. So as we know, that this list can incorporate anything. Mm-hmm. It can incorporate things from your personal life. It can incorporate films you've seen.
We're also suspending our 20-year rules as well. We're suspending the 20-year rule.
Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily have to be classic films or films that came out this year. It can be any
Brenton,
film.
just what's something from 2018 you loved?
I loved in 2018 our episode number 13.
I love it. It's so vain that you mentioned something that we made. Oh god, I love this thing that we did. We're so great.
It's not the fact we made it, Nathan. It was actually the film that we watched.
Oh, I hear you.
It kind of changed my life.
Really? Blade?
That was
out of everything, Blade
released
was
in 1998.
Yeah. Should we just repeat doing our Blade episode right now? Should I pitch you this movie?
Dude, let's just stop this podcast right now. And guys, just go listen to that episode and learn about, our some of the most amazing characters to ever be put on the screen. What's that chick's name? Pearl?
Oh my god, the librarian?
Pearl.
Yes.
Yes.
What do you want, Blade?
This is on the list in the sense of this was one of those moments I feel that really has kind of made this show into what it is now. Clearly, I mean, listen to this nonsense as we rattle on.
Yeah.
But other than being obviously one of my top films of the year that I've seen, Blade.
Yeah. Of this year.
It was a moment. It was a moment that compared to being honest, I haven't seen a lot of great films that have released this year.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's really got me going.
I mean, a lot of the Oscar films haven't come out yet because it's only early January too.
True. I acknowledge that, yeah. But yeah, for 2018, not so much. So it was nice to kind of have something that was that awesome, as well as something that gave this show a lot of confidence. So yeah, Blade holds a special place in my heart. And that's why it's on the list. Yeah. Nathan, your 2001.
Well, that was 2001, so I'll go 2002, I think. I hope I'm counting right. Sure. We'll find out by the time we get to the end of the list. So number 2002.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Yes, of course.
Where 2018 is the highest. That's our number one. We're going to confuse our listeners so much, but okay. My 2002 thing that I loved this year was the film Mother from 2009. So this isn't the Darren Aronofsky film. This is a really obscure reference. So, I don't just watch old movies. it'd be kind of weird if we only ever watched media from 20 years ago. It would be really hipster if you and I just did that, Brenton. Could you imagine?
It would be very odd.
It'd be very odd. Like, we exclusively just like live in the 90s. But yeah, I watched this. It's a Korean film. This actually sounds really hipster now I think about it. It's a Korean film from 2009, and I've had it on my list for ages to watch because I hear it's brilliant. And dude, it might be one of the best movies I've seen this year. It's about
wow.
This film. I'll pitch it to you quickly. It's about this Korean mother. They're in this like small town in Korea, and her son has a mental disability and he's a little bit off. And the son is an adult and he gets drunk one night. He's like 20 or something like that, and he hits on this girl, and they're at a club, and they both leave the club together, and it's the next day he's like passed out like next to his mother on their bed because they have a very close relationship, him and his mum, and it's revealed that the girl the son left with was murdered, and so everyone in the town thinks that her son killed this girl, and it's up to the mother to defend her son and try and prove his innocence. So he's put into jail immediately, and like she has to try and like interview everyone in the town and try and work out like who actually did it. And it's like if Cersei Lannister was like even more desperate, but only in a small town with none of the power. Like it is bloody genius, Brenton.
Great pitch, dude.
Great pitch. Thank you. Do you like foreign films, Brenton? Like, do you get around movies in other languages and stuff?
Yeah, man. I try to watch as much as I can. Yeah,
that's cool. I mean, Mononoke was English dubbed, but like, yeah, it was. Like, it's such a bloody good film, and out of all the films I've seen this year, that's one of the films that stuck with me the most. So if you want to watch a great Korean film, it's directed by the same person who did Okja, which is on Netflix. That giant pig film, if you've seen that. So give it a watch. That's Nathan's 2002 thing that he enjoyed.
Very good. So that brings us to number 2003.
I love it.
So I gotta say, I've been to Melbourne, Australia before in my life. It's a
what a badge to wear.
I gotta say, like in my previous visits to Melbourne, I didn't enjoy it that much, and I seem to have understood why now. There's nothing wrong with... Well, there are things wrong with Melbourne. But...
Besides the rampant
I
crime.
realised... I was on a trip to Melbourne earlier this year, and I realised, as I was staying in my Airbnb in the middle of the city, that my issue with Melbourne actually stemmed from the fact that every single time previously that I'd stayed in Melbourne, I'd actually stayed in the outer suburbs with friends or family members. As you do.
Oh, yeah.
The city CBD of Melbourne is so awesome. Like, there's so much to do. It's such a glorious place. But connecting that to the outer suburbs doesn't really work.
Couldn't you say that about, like, any city, though, Brenton? Like, the suburbs versus the centre of the city?
I feel like it's never become apparent to me as much as it did in Melbourne.
Like, you've been to Sydney and Brisbane and other world cities. Like, obviously, going to suburbia versus the centre of the city is going to be shittier.
True, but I think that the layout of this city, for some reason, I just don't agree with it in any sense. I understand what you're saying.
You rock up to outer suburban, and you're like kicking over bins. You're like, this is a shit suburb. Like, you're throwing rocks at windows.
Okay, the point I guess I'm trying to make is that I went to this trip to Melbourne this year, and I wasn't super psyched about going to Melbourne specifically, but I left having had such a wonderful time that it really changed my mind on Melbourne in a lot of ways.
Are you recommending the city of Melbourne? Like...
yeah, of course I'd recommend the city of Melbourne. Go check it out. Go check it out, guys.
I should. I've never been. Yeah. I've never been, embarrassingly. I mean, I know a little bit more about this because you went with your girlfriend, and I feel like
that's
like
correct,
you guys just started dating. I feel like because someone who has dated a couple of girls in the past, I feel like no matter where you are, as long as you're with someone that you love, it's great. And it doesn't have to be someone like that you're dating, as long as like family or friends. Like, I've been to some shitty places in the world, not just Melbourne. Although Melbourne, I'm sure, is lovely. But like, I've been to some really shitty places in the world, but because I was with great people, I loved it. Do you reckon if you were with people you disliked, but you were in Melbourne, you'd be like, oh, at least the city's great?
No,
like, wait a minute.
I hold fast to my statement. Yeah. I don't know whether it's the public transport system. I don't know what the deal is, but for some reason, I just don't agree with those outer suburbs, man.
The 2004 thing, the 2004th best thing, I reckon this year. was so Brenton, sometimes I work as an extra on films and TV shows. It's a tough life, but it's a good life, you know. It's a hard job, but someone's got to do it, buddy. And you know, it's fun being an extra. If you've seen the BBC show Extras, it's exactly that. Like Ricky Gervais nailed it on the head. But I recently did a film called I Am Woman, which is a biopic based on the woman who sang that song from the 70s. And like I was on set, and Brenton, one of the leads in the film is Evan Peters. Do you know who he is?
Quicksilver himself.
Yeah. Quicksilver. He's in American Horror Stories and a bunch of good stuff. He was the lead on the set, and when I was on set, Brenton, I was asked to be a waiter for this like old like diner scene that was in like the 70s. And I'd never had any hospitality experience in my life, Brenton, but they asked me to like carry like glasses of champagne in one hand and like a bucket and a cork in another. Like it was very, very complex. And I ended up doing a scene with him where I had to pour people next to him some champagne, and the scene ends with him asking for me for champagne, but I didn't know what to do when he did ask me, so I'd always just freeze every time it would happen. And so one take, I end up actually going up to him and saying, "Would you like some champagne?" And the director yells like "cut," and the scene's done, and so he's just awkwardly sitting there looking at me, and so I end up having a conversation with him, and he's really nice.
That is so cool, dude.
He's really, really nice, Brenton. And like we were talking about the movie, and then there was like an awkward pause, and he looked at me as if he wanted me to say something more, and I'm like, "Oh, by the way, I love Quicksilver," and he's like, "Oh, thanks, man." He gives me like this big handshake. I'm like, "This is so cool. I've met Evan Peters," and then he walks off to go to reset the scene, and the director, and he hasn't made a mistake the whole time, but then as the director yells action, he immediately messes up his first line, and I like to think, Brenton, it's because he was thinking about me and my compliment.
He was overcome by it. Yeah,
he was overcome with emotion.
That's a good.
He suddenly just like sped up with Quicksilver speed around the room, and he picked me up and, and he just ran me around city. I'm like, "Oh, I knew you had super speed the whole time."
Yeah, that's a great one, dude. Great addition to the list.
Yeah.
So moving on to 2005.
This is great.
Ooh, dude.
I feel like we're just like flying through the 2000s, just
I love this podcast. I love doing this show with you. I have such grand times.
Thank you, Brenton. This feels like you're about to have like a compliment sandwich. You'll be like, "But that fucking Nathan, I'm gonna punch him one day, damn it."
What I'm actually gonna say is that doing this show with you, you know, I've been able to watch some films, obviously, that I've never seen before, that I have no real context for, and that I just kind of see. And I'm so thankful for this podcast because it meant that I got to watch the film Network, released in 1976.
Yeah. God, that's such a good film.
I'm as mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore!
Oh, do you ever say that just like in random context? You know, we were talking about before how like we say things in private. Do you ever just like, you're just like on the toilet and like someone walks past and they hear you scream, "I'm mad as hell!" and your sister's like, "Oh God," like. I make sure
to say that statement in public at least 5 times a week. Yeah,
you're like in like an elevator and like they're just going up and you just like scream
and I just go for it, dude. I'm as mad as hell and I'm not gonna take it anymore.
I love it because like your version of it sounds like if like a Muppet did it. Like if I
it sounds like animal. Yeah, it sounds like animal. Mana.
I would love to see a Muppets version of Network. Do you reckon that'd be incredible?
Dude, if there's any remake or reboot that needs to happen right now, it's the Muppets Network.
The Muppets present Network. And it's just, dude, that would be amazing. Like Miss Piggy, where she's like, "I deserve some respect." And she's like whacking about her handbag in the house. Oh, that'd be great.
Oh.
Bert and Ernie are like the TV producers. Like.
So we have like a segment on the show called Pitch Me This Film, and really, I think that just then was one of the best, well, if not the best pitch that has ever been done on Classic Movie Banter, I'd say.
Thank you. Is it because you did it, Brenton?
No, not at all. It's you suggested
Brenton's like
it,
nodding and winking at the camera as he's like.
So yeah, Network. It's an amazing film. It's definitely become one of my favorites, and yeah, dude, I had such a blast watching it. Yeah,
yeah.
Everyone
when you and I was sitting next to each other on the couch, and we're just like, we're basically looking at each other, going like, "Fucking hell, this is great." It's like one of those great films. You're just like, for. It's like when you walk out of a cinema and like you hear those like people, like that group of friends talking, and they're like, "This is the best thing I've ever seen in my life," and they're like, "Art has peaked," and they're just like, "This is God made this film himself." Like,
yeah, he did actually, and it's called it's called The Last Temptation of Christ.
Would it be great if Martin Scorsese just put like directed by God in the credits? Like, oh, that would have just stirred so much shit.
Oh my god, for sure.
Oh, I wish. Right. So, 2006 we're up to, I think. My 2006 favorite thing, Brenton, was the movie Some Like It Hot. If you've ever heard of that film before.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have heard of this film, yes.
It's a film have you seen it before?
No.
It's this is before we started the podcast. This is when you and I were just watching old movies just because we wanted to. This is a weird story. So I was on a dating app and I matched with this girl called April, and she lived in Wollongong. And I'd always wanted to go to Wollongong before. I'm like, oh, if I'm moving to Sydney, I want to go there at some point. And so she messaged me and we organised this date for me to go down there on the train. And we went for a hike and we went to the beach and it was a beautiful date. But on the way down there, I had like an hour and a bit train ride where I had nothing to do. So I brought my laptop and I watched the film Some Like It Hot. Now, Brenton, the date I had with April was a very shitty date. Believe it or not, I'm sure the town of Wollongong is lovely, but I just did not have a good time when I went there. It wasn't because it was a dating app date. We've all been on dating app dates, and, you know, it's a mixed bag, but there have been some great ones. This was not a good one, Brenton, and I'll tell you why. Every time, like, we'd go on the hike and, like, we'd talk about, like, something we had in common, she immediately, like, changed the topic, and it'd always go back towards, like, tattoos and that kind of stuff. It was really random, because, like, she didn't have, I think she had, like, 2 of them or something like that, but, like, I'd talk, like, we'd realize we'd have, like, movies in common, or we realized, like, we both loved tennis or something like that, but then she'd, like, abruptly leave the conversation, just always start talking about, like, the next tattoo that she wanted, and I was like, oh, I don't know about this. And so the highlight of my day was literally just like the train right there and back, where I watched the first half and then the second half of Some Like It Hot. And dude, it's a great film. It's such a fucking good film. Do you know what it's about?
I don't, no.
Oh, dude. Okay, I'll do a quick recap. It's about it's got Marilyn Monroe. It's like one of her most famous films, and it's about these two mates who want to woo Marilyn Monroe. So they both pretend to, and she's in like a jazz band or something like that, or like a choir or something like that. She's in some musical band, and so they both dress up as women because she's in this all women's band, and they dress up as women and join her band as they go down to Orlando, because they're from New York and they all go down to Orlando, Florida, and they try and become her best friends, and then suddenly one of them takes off their clothes, then is back in being a man, and so they have to like pretend to be her best friend and the guy, and they're both trying to fight over her. It's kind of like this like oddball comedy, and it's so funny. It's one of the funniest films I've seen this year, and I could not recommend it higher. It holds up entirely well. Like, if you want to see a good old comedy, and also, if you don't know much about Marilyn Monroe as an actress, this is the film to watch her in.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah.
That sounds great. I'll have to give it a watch. Maybe we'll watch it on the show. Who knows?
Yeah, I'd happily do, like, Some Like It Hot again for the podcast, because it's such a bloody good film. Like, it's so funny. And it's like the original, like man dresses up as a woman, and he's gonna get up to all of these weird quirks, and who knows what he's gonna be like, and what is gender? It's like all that kind of stuff. So,
that sounds really cool. Yeah. Good recommendation, dude. I can't wait to watch it.
Thank you. That's one of my top 2018 movies, Brenton. One of my top 2018.
Woo! Yeah, damn. Put it on the list. So that brings us to 2007, I believe we're up to.
Yeah, 2007, man. Nickelback's playing right now.
Oof. Oof. Ooh. So that brings me to the only film from this year, from last year, I should say, now, so far. And that is a film that is nowhere, like, it's not, comparatively to, like, films from previous years, it wouldn't, probably crack the top 10 of those years. But this year it's up there for some reason. I just thought I'd mention it because I had a good time at the cinema watching this movie.
Brenton, what's the film?
It's, when I left the cinema and stuff, I was kind of like, I was in kind of like my podcast mode of like, yeah, these are the issues with it and whatnot. But I kept thinking about it. It was in the back of my mind the next few days.
Ooh.
That film is A Star Is Born.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Have you seen this film?
I still haven't seen it yet, and it's been out for a while, so I have no excuse whatsoever to have not seen it. But dude, there's like, I want to see The Favourite before I see Star Is Born, or like, like the proper,
Fair enough.
Yeah. But no, I hear it's great. You know what? I've heard it, but I haven't seen it. Because
Yeah.
Lady Gaga's bloody music is fucking everywhere. I've been to parties, Brendan. I don't know about you if you go to parties, but I've been to parties where like it'll be like house hits or Kendrick Lamar and that kind of stuff. But then like it'll be fucking Lady Gaga going, oh, and she'll be like, no one an hour, like she just like hits every note in like possible.
I think that was the best. I think we just peaked. I think what you just did then was the peak of classic movie Banter.
And this is someone who hasn't seen the movie, by the way. This is me just like, because there's one fucking song that is played from the movie. I have no context for it, because obviously I haven't seen it yet. But it's just Lady Gaga like struck on the piano, and like she sounds depressed, but then she sounds empowered, and she's like, I don't even know how it goes, but like it sounds moving. It does sound genuinely moving, but yeah, maybe does the film give a context? Is it a great film?
The film does give everything context. All those songs context, yes. And yeah, I can't say it's like the most well executed movie I've ever seen. It's got a really strong performance as always from Bradley Cooper.
Does Bradley Cooper do motion capture for Rocket the Raccoon? Who's in this?
Spoiler alert, he does. Yes,
oh my god, that'd be amazing. Like Lady Gaga's just like, I want to make it big in the music industry, and then Rocket Raccoon, it's like after Infinity War, and he's like, well, my whole family's dead, so I'm just gonna have to be a music producer now. And so he's just sitting on the piano, she's singing.
Nathan, I gotta say, you're smashing out these pitches tonight, and it's very impressive.
Thank you. Well, this is my pitch for Guardian and Gaga of the Galaxy. That's what I'd call that film.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, Gaga Guardian of the Galaxy. That's the movie. That's the movie that I want, Brenton.
Oof, title talk, perfect.
I'm not going to see A Star Is Born. I'm going to see that. Is the title A Star Is Born relevant to that movie? Was a star born in it? No spoilers.
I feel there's a better title somewhere.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll wait till the year 2038 before we talk about this movie in depth.
Let me just put that in my diary. Just give me one moment.
Do you reckon A Star Is Born is one of those Oscar films that it's popular and it's critically acclaimed when it comes out, but like in like 3 years people would have forgotten about it?
Potentially, yeah.
Like those Oscar films. It's like The Martian. Like everyone loved it and it was popular when it came out, but like no one talks about The Martian these days. You know what I mean?
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Good point, man. But I don't know. I feel like personally I liked it, so I'll think about it occasionally, but I can't say it's going to be like, it's not the Fellowship of the Ring, let's say that. Yeah.
I don't think many things could be the Fellowship of the Ring for you, Brenton.
Nothing compares to the Fellowship of the Ring.
My number 2008 favorite thing of 2018 was that I managed to build a table all by myself, Brenton.
Wow. Congratulations, dude. That's such an achievement.
As a 22-year-old man who is so crap. Now, I should give some context. My father is a carpenter. So like Jesus himself, he's like a bloody legend of building stuff. He when I was growing up, he had a shed, he had tools. Brenton, my father is obsessed with Bunnings. Like he's like one of those blokes that he will love anything from Bunnings. You know what I mean? I
do know what you mean. Bunnings is a great store.
It's a great store, not just for the snags. And so, he taught me how to do stuff when I was a kid. Like, this is how you put on a tire, and, this is how you, I don't know, build a house and all that kind of stuff. But, I for the life of me, I've been so terrible with handiwork just because I'm just not talented with it. It's not hereditary. So, when I moved houses this year into Balmain, I had to get a new kitchen table for our home. And because I'm poor, Brenton, I ended up getting it off Gumtree, and it was an IKEA table that the owner had disassembled. And so my housemates were all out the day that I had to pick it up. And so I brought it back to the house and had to rebuild it all myself. And Brenton, I think it's probably the hardest thing I've had to do in my life, truly.
So you didn't have instructions, or?
So it didn't come with instructions because it was secondhand. So I had to go on the IKEA website and find the PDF of the instructions. And you've read IKEA instructions before, right? Like they're incomprehensible.
This is true.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people do find them easy, but I am an idiot. So it was and it's really annoying because in bloody IKEA instructions, there's always that happy guy. It's always that classic IKEA like stick figure who's just got his hands on his hips and he's smiling at all the bloody nails in front of him, and he's just this is how you do it, and he looks so smug. And I'm like, fuck you. I want an IKEA manual where the person looks genuinely angry, so you don't feel like you're an idiot for being frustrated at how to build a bloody table.
I feel your pain.
It was a 7-step process that took me 3 hours, I think on the instructions it said I think it said 20 minutes, but it took me 3 hours. And I got it done. I got it done, and it still stands in my kitchen today, proudly there. There's this brown mahogany kitchen table. It's maybe not mahogany, but some fancy wood. So Yeah, that's I'm proud of it, Brenton. Have you had to like build stuff before?
Nice.
Have you had to like carpenter?
I have had to build stuff before.
What's the best thing you've built?
Never.
Besides this podcast.
Oh. I've built a few shelves and things like that, which
nice.
I was quite impressed with from scratch. Yeah, that was fun. But I feel like anything you build from IKEA is an achievement in itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember just being like, fuck you, Sweden, I did it. Like, take that. as I finished it. Like, oh, it was great. It was great. I had a beer afterwards. I was like, I felt so ashamed. I'm like, I've just built a table. I've done my handiwork. Now it's time for a beer.
So this brings us on to number 2010. Are we up to?
Nine.
No. Yeah. So 2009 is well, first of all, I'll say on this show that we talk a lot about Spider-Man 1 in particular. And we talk a lot about our good friend Willem Dafoe, and
he is our good
we discuss
friend.
We discuss whether he's actually out or not. You know what I mean? Like we discuss that a lot as well.
Like, as in he's gay or something? Like
no, as in it. You know, I'm referencing that great.
I know what you're
line
referencing, Brenton.
1.
I'm just making a joke.
Oh,
that'd be so funny if Willem
right.
Dafoe did like a gay Green Goblin. Could you imagine? Just like he's just like throwing the goblin bombs. He's like, ugh.
Who says that Willem Dafoe's interpretation of the Green Goblin isn't gay?
Maybe he is gay because you never see his wife. Oh, that'd be.
He's a single dad. He dresses up in green kind of lycra with like, you know, some straight. I don't know.
Doesn't he say to Mary Jane Watson hello dear or like hello lovely? It's like hello lovely as he glides.
Hello dear.
That's right.
He does, yeah.
He likes to sing a lot to Spider-Man. Maybe he does play for the other team. Like maybe it's like a love affair between him and Spider-Man. Like they end up kissing at the end of the film.
I'm something of a scientist myself. That's beside the point. The point I'm making is that we like Spider-Man.
We do like
and
Spider-Man.
This year I got to experience one of the best Spider-Man stories ever in any media, I think.
Ooh.
And that was in Spider-Man PS4.
Yeah, man. Good choice. Great choice.
Yeah, bro.
Because we both played this game.
I'm bringing this up. We did. I was just kind of like, it's not probably the best game like I've played this year or anything, but it was like, or even the best narrative in a game.
But this is one of your top 2018 things.
But it was so cool because it was like the best Spider-Man story I'd seen in years.
It's true. Yeah, from an actual narrative
like,
point of view, it actually is a good story, which is like I think it's secret as to why it's so successful.
Yes. Obviously there is sequel bait. There is lots of that stuff, but it's quite satisfying.
That's inherent to the comic book medium, frankly.
True. That is true. I feel like the problem with games is because they take so long to develop, is that you're not getting an update as often you would get as like a comic book or a TV show or a film.
Say for like the DLC they have to pay extra for.
Exactly. It's like 3 to 5 years before you'd get a sequel. And this game will get a sequel given how successful it's been.
Yeah. But we won't get it till like 2020 at the least.
It contains some of my favorite interpretations of some of the characters in the Spider-Man mythos. So, yeah, dude, I don't want to say any more because I don't want to spoil it, obviously. But if you have a PS4, pick it up and have a swing through New York, dude. It's like... It's a grand time.
It's a very grand time. I'd always because when I played the game too, I'd always do like dialogue for Spidey as he was like fighting the guys. Because like Spidey in all these video games, not just this one, but like, if you played a couple of Spidey video games, he always like says like the same quips. He's always just like, looks like I got to punch this guy back, and he's just like saying classic Spider-Man things. So I like to make up a story every time he has to like go into like a gang stronghold or something like that. So I like to think that like one of the guys working there is like Flash Thompson's father. And like they're all just like hanging out and that kind of stuff, and Spidey's just really angry because he gets bullied, so he ends up just giving them all wedgies by hanging them upside down on poles. I also like to imagine that like Spider-Man thinks this is like a musical, like a real life musical, so I like make him like sing like "Don't Rain on My Parade" as he's like fighting all the bad guys. And you're like, wow, Spider-Man.
Oh my god, wow, that's awesome, dude. I like that you like go into it with kind of like that role playing element of like, I'm going to this is my Spider-Man,
Yeah.
and I will
This
play
is
him
my
in
Spider-Man.
my own story. Yeah. But yeah, dude, it's a great game.
It is a great game. Like, I haven't played that many PS4 games because I go outdoors, Brenton. But out of everything I've played, this is definitely up there as one of my favorites. If I don't know if it's like if you've never played a PlayStation game before, I don't know if this is the one to crack the ice. But if you've played a couple of a console game and you do enjoy the experience, I feel like absolutely this is something you would love. And like it's funny, I don't like most video games because most of them have pretty crap stories. Mostly it's about like the gameplay mechanic or all that kind of stuff. Or if they do have a story, it's extremely derivative. So like I mostly buy video games for good stories, and this one really has a strong narrative that actually shows growth in three-dimensional characters. So
yeah, for sure.
We both thumbs it up.
2 thumbs up for Spider-Man PS4. Nathan, it is now time for number 2010.
I love it. My 2010th favorite thing of 2018 was when I met Hugo Weaving.
That's pretty good, man.
Yeah. That I love this. This is so we'll come back to this maybe later on in the episode, hint. But I saw a play back in like May that Hugo Weaving was doing in Sydney. Called The Irresistible Rise of Arturo Ui. It's a Bertolt Brecht play. I love theatre, by the way. I love going, as do you, by the way, Brenton. Like, we both love going to the theatre and seeing a bloody good show. And Hugo Weaving was headlining the show, and so my mate Trent and I, we went on closing night, and we went to see his performance, and we hoped that we'd hang by the stage doors by the end and see if he'd walk out and maybe meet him and get an autograph and that kind of stuff. He didn't come out the exit doors like we hoped he would. We stuck around for like half an hour after the performance, and he didn't end up going through the back door. So Trent and I were walking down the street, and we were like, oh, damn it, we missed Hugo Weaving. So we decided to go to one of the bars next to the theatre. And turns out one of the bars next to the theatre was hosting the after party where all the cast and crew were celebrating finishing a show. And Trent and I just walked on in. There was no security whatsoever. And like there was like this whole like bar tab and like food available, and we just like crashed the party. And we got all this stuff, and there in the middle of it was Hugo Weaving, just there with his family.
Yeah, and did you got to chat with Hugo and meet him properly?
It was awkward because like obviously everyone in the room wanted to chat to Hugo, but it's great because a lot of them were just like cast members and like crew members, so they'd already like talked to him heaps over the season. So he was kind of just like, he went up to the wine bar to get some more wine, and then Trent and I kind of like sidled up next to him, and I kind of like said, "Oh, excuse me, mate," and he turned around, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, my name's Nathan. This is my mate Trent, and we just want to say we're huge fans." He's like, "Oh, thank you," and we ended up chatting to him for like half an hour. Like he was just genuinely interested in what we had to ask, and like we were asking him like really dumb questions. At one point, I asked him like, "Do you ever try and convince people that you're Agent Smith in real life?" And then Hugo Weaving like looks at me and he's like, I think I did it once when the film first came out. And I'm like, "Oh, did they buy it?" And he said no. And we're like, "Oh damn, it'd be great if someone thought they were actually in the Matrix." And another thing, because obviously you would have died because obviously he's in Lord of the Rings, so you would have been like, "Oh my god." But have you met him before?
I have met Hugo before. Yeah.
Did you mention Lord of the Rings?
No, I didn't. I got to speak to him briefly a couple of years back. Yeah, at a opening night at STC as well. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. How come you didn't mention it? Did you not think like it'd be a cool thing to do, or you didn't want to weird him out?
Oh, it just didn't come up in the conversation. To be honest, yeah.
Trent and I were like blatantly fanboying him. We were saying you did great in the play, but then after that we were just like we literally just going through his entire filmography, like just being like, "Oh my god, you're the Red Skull," and then we'd be like, "Oh my god, you were in other films too," and we were just like, this is great. But yeah, cool guy, really cool guy.
Awesome,
and actually, because we kept on, so we finished the conversation and then we like went to talk to other people, and then he was at the food bar later on and he recognized us. He's like, "Hey boys, how's it going?" And we're like, "Good." So we just chatted to him again, and then we asked for a photo and he said yes, and he was, he had a fair bit to drink after this, so I think he was just more relaxed than if we had just like bumped into him on the street. But it's great because he also never asked why we were there, because obviously he knew we weren't cast or crew, but he never asked like why we were at the party. He was just like, these two guys seem cool. So this is great.
What a story, man. That's awesome. So that brings us to number 2011.
What is it, Brendan? What's your 2011th favourite thing of 2018? That's not a message we've sent to each other.
I'm looking at my list and I'm tossing up what to say next. All right, I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off and continue on something we were mentioning before. And that is just, in terms of this show, what I've loved about this show is kind of that, obviously, naturally, it kind of, it follows kind of our interests and our personalities and things we reference all the time.
Yes, yeah, I know, to the point where probably most listeners have no clue what we're talking about. They're just like, why are these two laughing?
Exactly. Except for when Willem Dafoe comes up in conversation. Because my next favourite thing in 2018 was actually was actually Willem Dafoe. Is what I'm going to say.
Is he going to be just like the same thing for the rest of the whole list? Like,
dude, the reason I bring up Willem is that because I think Willem represents kind of something about classic movie banter that is one of my favorite things about the show, and that is obviously just how much crazy shit we reference and pop culture and just stuff that shouldn't go together kind of does, and we kind of amalgamate all these kind of references and things into conversations that make literal no sense. I mean, out am I? Like, who would have thought that would be the quote from Spider-Man 1 that we religiously refer to? You know what I mean?
And it's funny because I'm sure a lot of listeners probably haven't seen the Spider-Man movies, so like they're probably like, why are these two barking on about them so much? But I hope because of that maybe they have now started watching those movies because of how much we love them.
Exactly. Yeah, I certainly hope so because they definitely should. Yeah. I think everyone could get a kick out of Spider-Man 1. Even if you hate it and think it's trash, you still got to admit there's something that's kind of entertaining about it. It's like, if you think it's trash, I think you'd think it's so bad that it's kind of like hilarious at the same time.
Yeah, like I always think that, like, especially for the kids that grow up with Tom Holland Spider-Man these days, and they have to like go back and watch the old films, I think they'll see something there that they just don't see now, which is just this level of artistry of just unfiltered fun there's just crazy wild decisions that they just made on set. Also, like, it's just, I don't know, early 2000 films, they've got a special place in my heart because the genre was still working itself out as to what it was trying to be. So like, it's great. I love Willem Dafoe. He's the best. And also, like, we love him a lot.
We love you, bud.
But we also love all the actors in those films. I love, like, Alfred Molina as Doc Ock. I love James Franco as Harry Osborn. I love, obviously, Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker. Rosemary Harris as Aunt May. Like, they're all excellent.
I was gonna say, if you did not mention Tobey Maguire, I was just like, come on, please mention Tobey. Because
there are people out there who really dislike his interpretation of Spider-Man, but I just love it.
Yeah, I dig it. I think it's great. Yeah. Well, he's my Spider-Man in that sense. You know what I mean? Like,
in the same way that like people from the 80s talk about like Michael Keaton being their Batman and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. So Toby, you're my Spider-Man, and Willem, mate, you're invited on the show at any time.
I feel like if we ask it enough, maybe it will happen. Like,
I'm praying it will. This third chair is sitting here ready to go.
But if we did, like, all it'd be is just us asking him to do lines from the movie, like, and also, like, I think we shot ourselves in the foot when we said, like, his Oscar bait film Last Temptation was kind of shit. Like, it's gonna be hard to convince him after he's like, listen to the podcast before I come on. He sees that we've done one of his films, and we're like, ooh, sorry,
sorry about that.
Sorry about that. But, maybe we'll do Florida Project, which apparently he's great in. Or, like, what else has he done? He's done a bunch of stuff, hasn't he?
Well, hey, At Eternity's Gate is the film I want to watch that he's playing Vincent van Gogh in.
Oh, that's right. And apparently he's really good in it, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was also... Have you seen The Fault in Our Stars? That film from 2014?
I haven't, unfortunately. No, I know he's in it, though.
Yeah, he plays this, like, dejected kind of famous author. And he's weird in it. I don't know if he's good in it, but he's weird in it. So it's something to see.
Yeah, right. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Nathan, what's next on the list?
2012, End of the World, 2012 favorite thing of 2018 was this year went to Southeast Asia, Brenton. I did a trip there. And, dude, let me tell you about Southeast Asia as an area, because you haven't been to that part of the world, have you?
No, I haven't.
No. I went there earlier this year for a trip with one of my best mates, Alex. We ran around like for a couple of countries for like 2 weeks. And Southeast Asia is like the most fun place you can go ever. Like, I think especially in your 20s as well. It's this part of the world where just like it's just chaotic, truly. Like, I went to this village called Sapa in like North Vietnam, and we were there in the rainy season, and we it flooded our small tiny village that we were staying in. We went to hike a mountain that day, and we were staying in this tiny village, and it flooded, and like houses got like destroyed. Like next to like this homestay that we were staying at, the neighbor's house got completely decimated, where like floorboards all over the place, and like it completely collapsed. The family were fine; they managed to crawl out before the whole house like fully went under. But all the roads back up to the main motorway to get out of the town were blocked off because of mudslides. One of the locals, because we had to go back to Hanoi that day, grabbed Alex and I and was like, "Hey, if you get in this like minibus with me, I'll take you boys and a couple other tourists up to the top where the main motorway is, and we'll see if we can survive the mudslides." And we're just like, "Okay, why not? We trust this guy." And Brenton, it was like the most windy road, like where it was like next to like a cliff's edge the whole time, where gushing, flowing mud was like just spurting along the whole road. And so it was a death trap, but we're like, you know, this guy probably has done it before. You know, he said the floods were usual. This should be okay. And there was one point, Brenton, when we drove up, and like the river that was on like the road was so strong that we actually, as the van went forward, it also started going sideways. Like it started like locking and drifting off sideways towards the edge of the cliff. And the guy driving suddenly said, "Oh no." He didn't speak much English as well.
Oh my gosh.
And Alex and I are both looking at each other, and we're like, fuck. And we're like, we're gonna die. And I think it's like that moment, you know, when like a plane, you're in a plane that's about to land and you feel a bump and you get this brief moment where you think, this is it?
Yes. I know exactly what you mean.
It was like that kind of moment where I'm like, oh shit, this is it. And I'm like, and then I remember thinking, well, there's worse ways to go, frankly. I'm like, you know, going in the mudslide in Vietnam, I guess it'll be a colorful funeral. But like as we kept on going forward, we the van was at the cliff's edge. If you'd given it maybe 2 more seconds, the 2 side wheels would have suddenly gone off the edge. But the guy just like kicked he changed gears, and the bus like shot forward, and it turned a corner, and we managed to the back wheel actually did go off the cliff. Like it kind of like dangled for a little bit, but then because
wow.
like it got back on. It was crazy, and I'm like, but despite that story, Brenton, I think the people in Southeast Asia, I went to Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, and Singapore. I think there's just a level of just chill and calm that you can find very little elsewhere. That in the face of adversity, they are just like, don't worry, man, all is well. And so for that reason, Brenton, you should go. And I loved going, and that's my 2012 thing.
Nice, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. If you had to go somewhere in Southeast Asia, where would you go? Like, is there any place that stands out?
Not particularly, to be honest. I mean, like, I really want to get there, but I think I'd check out, if I was to go, I'd do like a bunch of countries, to be honest. Yeah.
If you had to do one place, though, out of everything that I loved, I think you would love Ha Long Bay, which is off the east coast of
Oh, really?
Vietnam. I think you would love it because it's like Avatar. It's like, you know, like those floating islands in Avatar. It's like that,
yes.
But they're in water, and it's just spread over this beautiful bay, and it's so chill, and it's perfect for couples. It's also perfect for just like young people who just want to get drunk on a boat. You can. Oh, it's just go, go now, Brenton.
All right, I'm off. Bye,
Bye.
Bye, guys.
I have to do the rest myself then. Oh wait, no, Brenton's back in.
So, guys, that brings us to the next moment on the list, or thing on the list, I should say. And that is chicken burgers.
Your 2013 thing is chicken burgers?
Is chicken burgers. This is the
Please
year
tell me
of
this
the
is a
chicken
film.
burger.
Please tell me that's a film that you found from like the 40s or something. Like
No. This is the year of the chicken burger, Nathan.
Okay, why is this the year of the chicken burger?
And to sum this, I will sum the reason up with a story.
Okay.
And it's a story of us. One night, when we were going to film an episode of Classic Movie Banter, we decided to go get some bites to eat before that episode.
Oh, I forgot about this.
And Nathan told me that there is this grand burger joint somewhere around where he lives. And he said, do you want to come down? And I said, yeah, sure. He said, I'm going to order it on Uber Eats, and it's going to be great, and it's going to get here, and it's going to be awesome.
I praise these burgers like
So we decided to go pick up this food. We go for this long walk. We arrive at the place. Nathan's placed the order. And the guy goes, oh, hey, we have your orders. But they're a bit cold. what was the reason that we didn't get the first
The reason, so we ordered it to have it delivered to my house where we record the podcast, but then Uber, it's the company itself, called me saying, hey, that's right. The burger restaurant itself, called Burgers Anonymous, said we actually can't deliver this to our house because all of our delivery drivers are sick.
That's right.
Like
Yeah.
They're like, we actually have no one to deliver it to you. Like there's literally no one. We're so sorry. Can you walk here and we'll give you the 2 burgers for free? And we're like, fuck it, because it's like a 10-minute walk away. We're like, yeah, of course, we'll go pick up the burgers. So we walked on over.
Yeah, that's right. So we got 2 free burgers, and then somehow ended up with another 2 burgers as well.
Yeah, because the guy was like, hey, these 2 burgers that we made for you like 20 minutes ago, they're a little bit cold. So would you like another 2 burgers? We'll make another 2 hot ones for you, so they're fresh.
That's right.
If you wait like 5 minutes, and we're like, yeah, fuck it, we'll get, we'll have these 2 we'll get hotter burgers. He's like, no worries, and he picks up the 2 old ones. And and was it you or me who was like, wait a minute?
It was definitely you.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because I was fucking hungry by that point. And
all I will say is that these 4 burgers that we had were succulent. They were pure. They were incredible. This was the year of the chicken burger.
It was so good.
I ate so many chicken burgers at so many restaurants this year. It was pretty insane. But those burgers are still the tops.
Are they really? Is it because they were free or because they were genuinely like the best tasting?
It's because of both.
Oh, it's true. They do taste better when they're free. I will admit that. But like, yeah, it's funny because he was going to throw out the 2 cold ones because he was like, oh, I'll get rid of these 2 cold ones. I'll give you the 2 new ones. I'm like, don't throw them out. Give them to us. We'll have them cold. He's like, okay, cool. So like, I remember we like finished the burgers before we got back to the house. Like we were just eating them on the road, and it was like the best thing in the world. That was a good night, Brenton.
Yeah, dude. There was a grand night. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's like the kind of night where you like the 2 mates, like they go like driving in like the woods and they spot a star and they make a wish and they're just like happy as hell. Like it was like that kind of night.
Yeah. Hey Nathan.
Yes.
What's next on your list?
That's a way of saying it. I think this is my 2014th favorite thing. I think that's what we're up to. This is my 2014th favorite thing about this year was that I was on a TV show called Pointless, and I was a contestant on a game show. And it's really funny because like my mate Trent, who I also met Hugo Weeding with, was like, "Hey, do you want to be on TV and do a quiz show with me? It's like partners." And I'm like, "Yeah, cool, that could be fun." And so we go on TV. And it's this huge show in the UK that they just launched in Australia, and it's where you have to like guess answers to trivia questions, but like it's correct, but like it has to be like a really unlikely correct answer. So they'll say like name a country, and like people will commonly guess America or Australia or something like that. But if you say like Azerbaijan, you'll be more correct because it's more obscure. And so my mate Trent and I, we went on TV. We filmed it like a month before the episode came out. And we got to the final round. And one of the things the judges asked us was to like list words that ended in ICE. And so Trent, being like a word whiz, was like, oh, let's do like avarice. I was being like, nice. Let's do maybe the word ice or thrice. But Trent was like, no, let's do avarice. I'm like, great, that's an obscure word. That should win us the game. And by the way, we could have, Nathan spoils, we could have won $9,000 if we had gotten this. And you need to like, they survey 100 people and they ask these 100 people to list the thing. And so all we needed was to have no one guess the word avarice out of 100 people and we would have won $9,000. Brenton, one person out of those 100 people guessed the word avarice. And so we went home with literally nothing.
That is brutal. That is so brutal. But what an amazing experience you guys had. Like it was just, I saw the show and it was like so entertaining. It was so great, and it looked like you guys had a ball.
We did have a ball, but it's funny because we watched the episode on Channel 10, and it's funny because obviously I had no recollection of what my face was during that show, and I look happy the whole show. But as soon as we lose the money, I look so angry. Like I'm like looking like the host and the judge, and like my face is just like excuse me. and the judge is like trying to crack on jokes. He's like, next time, boys. And I'm like, there is no next time, you piece of shit. He's like, thanks for playing. and I do not look good on that.
That's awesome, dude. I like if you ever get to see that episode of Pointless, it's such a great episode. But yeah, Nathan's right. He pulls this sassy looking, pissed off look, and he it's so funny. It's so funny. Especially knowing you and kind of like, you seem to always have a pretty cheery disposition.
Oh, thank you.
And so to see you like at that point on the show is just kind of hilarious.
Yeah, where I'm genuinely angry and I'm just like, you piece of shit.
Yeah.
I try and be cheery, as much as I can in life. But like, if I have to get angry, I get bloody angry and like, I'll throw rocks, Brenton.
Oh, yeah.
which I could have done, but then I remembered I'm on national television on a recorded medium where they can very easily sue. So I'm like, maybe I shouldn't do that.
See, this is very true.
Yeah.
This is very true. So that brings us on to number 2015.
Your 2015 favorite thing,
which is living life as a part-time vegan.
Oh, wait, what?
This is another food-related thing, and it's coming to fruition because my girlfriend is a part-time vegan as well.
Wait, no, what? I do not know this.
Yeah, she is.
I know she's part-time vegan, but like, don't tell me you've turned.
No, part-time is the clear distinction here. So she is a part-time in the sense of that she doesn't eat most dairy products and like her savory foods, like, you know, her breakfasts, her lunches, her dinners. But when it comes to sweets, she kind of caves in and will have, you know, some dairy products and that stuff.
Yeah.
It tastes so damn.
And, you know,
good.
if you're a vegan, more power to you. But like, it's a tough transition.
But so I, having spent a lot of time with my girlfriend over the past few months, have like, you know, been eating some similar stuff. Still maintaining my healthy life as a carnivore.
Yeah, you and all your chicken burgers, am I right? Like.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like, it's kind of funny that I've started this with chicken burgers, and then now I'm onto life as a part-time vegan. Again, part-time is the clear word there. Yeah, well, like,
no, part-time makes me sound like you do it maybe a couple days a week. But like, so is this like now universally you will like not? What do you not have, Brenton? What do you not have?
Oh, I have everything.
Oh, then how are you part-time vegan?
Because it's part-time in the sense of like some days I will eat vegan food because I'm spending time with my girlfriend, and I'll just share some stuff with her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's, I don't know. It's like, but yeah, I don't know. It's like there are some days I'm like, I just don't eat chocolate, but that's just simply because I don't feel like chocolate that day. That doesn't mean I'm like dieting to remove chocolate, if that makes sense. It's just like, that's just what the scenario presents you with. Like, you know what I mean?
Tomato.
you don't introduce yourself as a part-time vegan, do you? Because like I feel like vegans would be pissed off with you because they're like, no, we've actually made the switch. It's like, you know what I mean?
Oh well, I fully accept that that vegans would most likely be pissed off at me.
Not even because of your diet, just because of your character, frankly. Like,
yeah, no, probably both. Probably the fact that I just stated that chicken burgers are one of my favorite things of the year,
yeah.
And two, because I say that. Well, I said living life as a part-time vegan, but I stand by that.
Yeah,
like
because as soon as you said the word part-time vegan, I was like, dude, last night you and I shared chicken wings together. So I'm like, I don't think this is a huge commitment.
Again. The key words are part-time.
Dude, this is like
anyway,
you volunteering once a week at like your father's shed for maybe a 2-hour shift if we're talking part-time. Like,
but it's still part-time.
I love it. No, I'm proudly carnivorous.
So yeah, the reason that's on the list, one, because I love my girlfriend and that's great, and you know we spend lots of time together and that's great, and we eat great food. The second part is that it's great food. There's some good fucking food out there that like vegan people eat.
I love my past 2 girlfriends were both vegetarians, and so I was proudly not vegetarian, and I would like deliberately eat even more meat in front of them. But I've had vegetarian meals and vegan meals, and like they're actually not that shitty.
No, it's very true. It's very true.
I couldn't do it full time. It'd just be exhausting.
No. I'd get to the end of the second week and I'd probably just, go order a T-bone steak and,
You'd be like Alex the
like
Alex the Lion in Madagascar 1, where like he's on the island, he hallucinates everything as steaks.
I am Alex the Lion. No.
I knew it. I knew you were Ben Stiller, damn it. Take off the face mask, Brenton.
Dude, I really want to watch Madagascar again now. I haven't seen that movie since like the year it came out.
Really? I think it's 05 it came out, something like that.
Yeah. Gosh, yeah, long time ago. Wow.
Dude, it's great. It's funny. The weird thing about the Madagascar movies is that each sequel gets better, weirdly. Like 2's better than 1 and then 3's better than 2.
Really?
Yeah. Have you seen any of the sequels?
Interesting. No, not at all.
Oh, and it's great because the first movie's really good, but like it's a great trilogy. I'd recommend it.
Yeah, awesome, dude. So yeah, life as a part-time vegan. It's been good. I've tried many different dishes, and I've really been enjoying it.
What's your go-to
and,
dish? If someone wanted to try being a part-time, I say in the most rolling eyes way possible. If someone wanted to try being a part-time vegan, what would be the one dish that you reckon could springboard them into that lifestyle?
Go to a good Vietnamese restaurant and get some damn fine rice paper rolls.
Oh, okay. Actually, yeah. That's good. Actually, well done, Brenton. Maybe you are a true part-time vegan. Like,
hey, who knows? Who knows? That's up
to
to the audience to decide. No,
but it's like, how dare you in this household? Get out.
Never.
Really.
So yeah, Nathan, anything to add to the list?
Fuck, what are we up to? 2016, I think? 2017? I don't know, I've lost count. I've got two more things.
2017, yeah.
I've got two more.
Oh, sorry, no, 2016.
Yeah, 2016, because you got one more, I think, maybe?
That's right,
2016. Yeah. We kept count. We're so good at this. We can count Brenton to the number 2018.
Woo!
I love it.
Yep.
Math with classic movie banter. Let's do a math podcast at some point. My number 2016 favorite thing of 2018 was watching the film Infinity War with you, Brenton.
Oh,
mate. Because you and I get to go to the movies a fair bit. We've watched so many fucking films together. Like it's amazing we have a friendship outside this as well. But like you and I remember like we went like opening weekend. I think it might have been opening night when Avengers: Infinity War came out.
It was opening night.
Yeah, that's right. It
was opening night.
at George Street Cinemas in the middle of the Sydney CBD. It was like a packed out cinema with maybe like 400 seats or something like that. And it was like filled with like the most like hardcore Marvel diehard fans. Which also I'm a member of. I love those movies like crazy. I'm a huge fan of both Marvel and DC, and I love those Marvel movies. I remember like you, me, and our mate Trent all went to that premiere, and I have never seen a cinema crowd act more like a soccer crowd in my life, where like the audience is actively participating in the movie. Do you remember that? Do you remember that cinema?
Dude, it was fun. It was such a fun night. Being in that environment and like having an absolute blast, just like listening to everyone, like just like experiencing like this kind of event. Like it was so cool.
It's funny because like for people, because obviously not everyone loves movies, and like, it'd be funny if people like listen to this podcast and they don't love movies. Like I hope we get some people to go out and see a movie they never thought of seeing. But like if you're not a huge fan of like going to the cinemas, or even if you are and you've never done a opening night release, I implore you must at some point find a blockbuster that you think you might love. Even if you're not a big fan of the film, just go to where you're with a crowd who are passionate about a film. Whether it be like a Marvel movie, a Harry Potter movie, a Star Trek movie, whatever you think, like go to it, because like the audience, it's like being in a sports stadium and everyone's like clapping and cheering, and like people stand up and people get dressed into costumes. Like I remember, and like it's just such a great vibe, and especially with Avengers: Infinity War, which is like probably the biggest film this year, both in box office and in just sheer size of cast. It was a great film. And like it's a really, really good movie, and there was a lot of shocking moments. And I remember at one point, spoiler alert for Avengers: Infinity War, when the Red Skull rocked up. And this one character rocked up in the movie that I found a surprise, and I remember screaming at the top of my lungs, like, oh shit, and like I must have said it like maybe like 5 times, and like people around me were like looking around, they're going, oh, who's this guy? But I didn't care, Brenton.
Yeah, dude, you were nuts. You were grabbing me, you were grabbing Trent and I, because Trent was there as well, and you were grabbing both of us like by the arms, screaming, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, and we're like, yeah,
you guys like, it's
no, but then I remember Trent under his breath said, oh shit.
Because he was just scared I was attacking you boys.
No, it was for what was happening with Red Skull. It was such an event, dude. It was crazy. I remember also, spoiler alerts for Infinity War, there's a scene where Iron Man gets stabbed.
Yeah, that's right.
And the wailing cry of this woman in the cinema. So, crunch, he gets stabbed. Oh!
I remember that.
Oh no!
Yeah, there were people like losing it,
and it was, like they were like, he's gonna die. No, just like it was just, you just couldn't help but you couldn't help but just get wrapped up in what was going on and being invested. And as someone that hadn't watched all of the MCU films up until Infinity War, I'd missed a few and like the couple of generations that had preceded the end of that MCU cycle. I was still so on board and having such a great time.
In it. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, even if you don't love the movie or if you're not like a huge fan of the franchise, just rock up and do one of these like midnight or opening night screenings because it is neck level energy that you just won't get anywhere else in a cinema.
For sure. So Nathan.
Yes, Brenton.
I will now reveal my final addition to this list for 2018. Here we go. I've listed it here as sheets.
Okay, sheets, as in you washed your sheets finally. Like
Nathan, I don't go into the behind the scenes of this show, and I won't, and I promise I won't go into the behind the scenes of like really how the show is formed.
Reveals the secrets, Brent.
No. But I will reveal something that happened before, basically the instigating event that caused classic movie banter to happen.
Ooh, okay.
And that was Nathan and I watched a film, and we won't say what it was because who knows? Maybe we will review it one day on the show. Actually, I know we will review it. We should,
yeah, we should do it proper.
But it was something that was you will never guess.
It was such a random film we chose to like experiment this thing with.
And I promise when we review it, we will reveal what the film was.
Who says we already haven't reviewed it, Brenton?
Oh! But we had such a great night. We were drinking red wine. That's what we thought we had to drink before we talked about movies.
Yes.
So we went and had some Chinese food. Came back, watched the movie. And we were just doing it to like test this idea that we'd kind of had, like being like, what if we recorded this and what if people
here's an idea, man. What if we just got microphones and then just talked into them, but and then put that on the internet because I reckon there's not enough like podcasts where two guys just talk about movies. I reckon there needs to be more, Brenton.
Genius.
What a novel idea. Let's pioneer this.
So we hadn't purchased any equipment at this point.
No.
Because we're not doing a show. We don't even have a schedule of like, what the show is, how it happens. Yeah, exactly. So we go up to Nathan's room and we realize that we've got that phone sitting there. And the reason I call this sheets is because the only way that we could trap sound so that you could like hear us was that Nathan and I had built this kind of cubby house out of chairs and sheets.
Yeah.
And we hopped in under this. So
it's like when you're a kid and you make and you get like tables around a chair and you make a perimeter of them and you throw a bed blanket over it and you have a little fort. It was exactly that.
Yeah. Exactly like that. And we recorded this episode, which is by far the worst thing we've ever recorded. But it was our first test.
We still have a lot of episodes to do, Brenton. Like.
Exactly. But so we record this episode, and yeah, it was the instigating event. There's photos on both of our phones of us in this under this sheet cover. And the reason I bring up this, and it's the last thing I'll say on this list, is because thank God we kind of took the deep dive and did that test, as shitty as it was, and that we put up with being under that in that cubby house because man, look how far it's come, and oh man, it's just it's exciting to see where it will go.
I know. I thought we'd be dead by this point, frankly. Like I thought it'd just be one of us just being like, oh, remember that guy? Like,
yeah, but seriously, dude, like, it was pretty special, and I'll always remember that night that we did that test episode. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very, very fun. I remember being very proud as well, like because I thought because I remember thinking like, oh, maybe this will be a fun thing, maybe it'll go nowhere, but this will be a fun thing for us, and then yeah, we did it, and I realized no, I actually want to put care and passion into it, and I want to do something, so yeah. So no, I think it's definitely not the weirdest thing we've done on the show, but I'm proud of it, Brenton.
Yeah. So that brings us to the final addition to the list. Nathan, what's your final edition?
My final thing, my favorite thing that we did this year in 2018, I actually wrote down the words starting the podcast.
Hey,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'll build a little bit on top because it's kind of like a story, because you kind of already told a little bit about that story, but I'll give some context, because I remember you and I, we saw a film very early on in the year at the cinemas. I forget which one it was. Oh no, you know what it was? Actually, you know what the genesis of me thinking maybe I should talk to Brendan about movies was? This was in December, I think, or even November of 2017, and it's when
I remember what this was.
You know exactly what it was. It's when you and I, we went to the cinemas, and instead of seeing like all the Oscar bait films, you and I deliberately chose to see Justice League.
Yes, we did.
And we went to George Street Cinemas, and our usual cinema, and we watched this movie, and it's a hot mess. And we both walked out of the cinema, and we ended up getting dinner afterwards, and we just talked about this movie for an hour. Basically, what we just do on the podcast. I remember when I went home that night, I remember thinking to myself, I wish we could relive that conversation. And so, if anything, this podcast is more just like a journal of you and me just talking about movies that we'd normally just talk about anyway.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's fun for us. Not that because, between recording the episode, then editing the episode, then publishing the episode, like, I have no time to go back and listen to any of this. But it's nice to know it's there, Brenton.
It is nice to know. There's a whole catalogue of
33 so far.
basically.
Oh, yeah, it's like 33 episodes, but like there have been shittier TV shows that have run on longer. So, as like The Block has been going a lot longer than us. So as long as we're not doing more episodes than The Block, we're good. And if you don't know what The Block is, listeners, look up The Block on Australian television. It's great. No, it's not.
It's and it's on that note, given that we're kind of wrapping up this list and the episode, I guess, it's kind of funny to think that, like, that we have these loyal listeners that listen to us, whether it's every week or they just drop by, to listen to a very specific episode on a very specific movie. Man, it's been a fun ride, 2018. And now that we're in 2019, I can't. Let's see him be it up.
Let's quit while we're ahead, frankly.
Yeah. We've like I said before, we've peaked.
We peaked with Blade, frankly.
Like,
we're not going to do any better than that.
Yeah, very true. Yeah. But Nathan, 2018 of 2018.
We've listed 2018 things, most of them being text messages that the audience will never see in their lives, or maybe they will. Maybe we'll just suddenly every text we send we must now publish onto Twitter immediately. So
yeah. We'll keep a tally. We'll do something.
But thank you so much if you have listened to all 33. I don't know what madness inflicts you to do that, but thank you for doing it. It's awesome. It's so cool knowing people want to hear us talk. It's cool when we get requests like when we've done films that we didn't think we were going to do, especially early on, but because people said you guys got to do this, we did them. It's funny I say this. I'm trying to think of actual films that we did that for, but I'm forgetting it. I know the Burt Reynolds films. We that was that, and we love you guys. If we could hug you, we would, and we give you a nice pat in the back, and maybe rustle your hair a little bit and say good on you, kiddo.
Yeah, and wish you all the very best for the year ahead as well.
I hope you guys have a great 2019. It's a big year for movies, Brenton. This year, it's huge. It's also it's also a big year.
Yeah.
You know what I worked out the other day? 2019 this year is a big year for franchises ending. So the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that's ending with its Phase 3. Star Wars is ending with its 9th film in the Skywalker saga. Game of Thrones is ending with its final season. There was another thing that's ending this year that I thought of. And something else, which I cannot think of. But Brenton, it's a year of endings. So I'm excited for new endings and new beginnings as we do the last year of the 10s, this awkwardly named decades, and that we can finally get out of the way so we can actually get into the roaring 20s.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And you know what the best news is about us being in 2019, Brenton? We can do 1999 films now. We've unlocked them, Brenton.
Woo!
It's like us leveling up. Like, because we've done a fair bit of 1998 films because we were desperate to get to the close of the modern day. So we now got 1999.
Dun, da, da, da,
we can now do Matrix at some point this year. We can do Sixth Sense at some point this year.
No, Nathan.
Yeah.
Don't spoil it.
Damn it, Brenton! I'm just upset we haven't had our spoiler section this podcast. I had to spoil something. Oh wait!
Stop setting up the fireworks, man! Like, seriously, like you're gonna burn the house down.
Brenton, it's okay. Just hide behind your SWAT team. Wait a minute. Why are they all dressed up as cats, Brenton?
Jellicle songs for
Have you
Jellicle
hired the cast of cats to be your
Jellicle
SWAT
songs for
team?
Jellicle cats. Jellicle songs for Jellicle cats.
Damn it, Brenton, strap me to the
Jellicle
rock. I don't want to be here
songs for
anymore.
cats. Jellicle songs for Jellicle cats. Jellicle songs for Bye, guys.